The income tax elimination. For 3 years, the legislature could circumvent the protection in our Constitution that is there where the legislature can't raise your taxes without a vote of the people.
Yes.
And they were saying, well, will you give us permission for 3 years to lift that and let the legislature work to put in place these sales taxes, expand the tax base, so on and so forth. There was not a carve out for agriculture, wasn't a carve out for medical, was not a carve out for real estate. 3 things that the governor had specifically stated, saying that when we did this income tax elimination, there would be carve outs for those. None of them are in there, except marijuana. I wanted to see caps on how much we could increase the sales tax. So I had talked with the bill handler. They're going to work on that in the Senate, and they're going to send it back. We got it back, and it was worse. They had stripped out all of the plan, all of the triggers. So it's just basically a trust us and let us figure it out. Well, we don't even know who the legislature is going to be in 5 years. I was a hard no when it came back from the Senate.
Welcome, everyone, to the Patriot Project on Mugwump Media. Kevin, I'm very excited. This is part 2 of our interview with Representative Lisa Durnell from District 154. And there's Dean over there again. Yep. You all have been talking about fishing a bunch.
We have. No, well, actually, I've been talking about catching. Lisa's been talking about catching, and Dean's been talking about fishing.
It's been fun.
He's gonna holler when he starts catching.
Yes.
And we'll join him.
That's
right.
Yes, there you go.
That's
and
right.
Of course, this is they are from our home district in Howell County. So it's always wonderful to visit with them. Mm-hmm. And thank you guys for staying over and doing part 2. This is great. Do you think your animals back home are going to be missing you?
Sure they are.
I bet they are. Where are they? Where's Ma and Pa? All right. Well, Lisa, on May 22nd, Governor Kehoe issued a proclamation. And this, of course, this is the day that we are videoing this. It popped up today. I was scouring it at the same time you were, and you're like, hey, did you see the proclamation? And of course, it's concerning what amendments are going to be on the ballot for you all to vote on August the 4th, correct?
Correct.
And you know, it is so important to know what we're voting on. How many times have people told us? I have people all the time that are like, tell me what this means. Mm-hmm. I get messages and calls. I don't know what this means. It's good to know this beforehand, so you don't end up having to go to the ballot box and just sit there with that sick feeling, like when you take a test and you don't know what questions you're answering.
Thought she was going for a A, B, C, D test, and turns out it's essay. That's a problem sometimes.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, can you break some of that down for us, Lisa?
I sure can.
Excellent.
I don't know how good I'm going to be at it, but I'm going to try. And I do want to say real quick, because something you just said kind of triggered a thought. And that is, I have served as an election judge. And when you walk into the precinct, your election judges cannot answer this question. What does this amendment do?
That's right.
What is this proposition about? You need to do your homework ahead of time, because they are not allowed to answer the questions. All they can do is refer you to the language that's posted on the wall, and it could be, thousands of words. So do your homework.
Oh, yes. The language. Yes.
It's always fun. So, yes, let's just start and go over these real quickly. The Amendment 1 is, if approved by the voters, it continues for 10 years the 0.1% sales and use tax that is used for soil and water conservation and for state parks and historic sites. So that's going to be just a continuation of the tax that's already in place. This one is not connected to MDC. This is the state park tax.
Okay.
Some people confuse that.
Is that DNR?
Yes.
Okay.
DNR. Mm-hmm. So MDC has their own 3/8% sales tax that is used to fund them. But I think people they kind of confuse these. Mm-hmm. And honestly. I kind of feel like MDC kind of pulled back on some of the things that they were doing with CWD and that sort
Chronic
of thing.
wasting disease.
Because they
yes.
think that people link these two or think it's the same tax. So they've pulled back on that. I hope it's permanently, but it's at least temporarily. But that their MDC tax doesn't have anything to do with this one. This one is DNR. This one's State
Department
Parks.
of Natural
and
Resources.
It's the continuation of the 1/10 of 1% sales tax.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Amendment 2, if approved by voters, requires that all charter counties, including Jackson County, elect a county assessor and that such assessors comply with training requirements established by state law. So, as you were saying earlier, yes, the Jackson County people have not gotten the opportunity to elect their assessor. But now, if we approve this, they will be able to elect it. To me, that's good. The people have a say in who gets elected. And I know Jackson County has had a ton of problem with property value assessments, and they are being taxed to death up there.
Yes.
So to actually have an elected assessor is super meaningful to them. So
of course.
I am all for this. That is fine. Then Amendment 4, if approved by the voters, modifies current requirements that a simple statewide majority of voters may approve initiative petitions to amend the Constitution. It requires a majority of voters in each congressional district to approve initiative petitions to amend the Constitution and makes available to each voter the full text of initiative petitions with their ballot. So there you go. You could get the full text. You could get all of that with your ballot. But what this does, now IP reform is something that, boy, we've been talking about it for a while.
Oh, I've been banging that drum. As a matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago, I went on and on and on about it because it's the reason we have marijuana, the reason we have this horrible abortion law. We're one of, like I said a couple of weeks ago, we are one of 3 of the most progressive and horrible abortion laws in the United States: California, Minnesota, and Missouri. As a matter of fact, somebody said that we're actually equal to, like, North Korea.
It's horrible.
It's horrible, and it's because of this.
Yes. 100%.
Because it's so easy. The threshold is so easy. And literally 107 counties, this Amendment 3, the old Amendment 3. Now, there'll be another one. We'll talk more about that later. That's not going to be voted on in August. But basically, the old Amendment 3, they don't even have to have the votes of 107 counties. The threshold is so low, folks. All they have to do is just go to the 7 counties around the cities and just have swarms of people being paid big bucks and bussing them in and lying to them and getting all the signatures of the people in the cities. And they can barely scrape through sometimes, barely. They scrape through. Like 51.7% was all they got. And 107 ruby red counties voted against it, and yet now we're told it's the law of the land. This is going to change it. Can you break down? Because I know it's difficult for people to understand what all this is. Sure. Can you help us with that,
Yes,
Lisa?
I'll try. So currently, and this goes for either a statutory change, which would be like your propositions that you see on the ballot, or a constitutional amendment. Either one of them right now. If those get to the ballot, all it takes is 50% plus one
vote.
A simple majority mob rule.
Yep.
Direct democracy.
For the most important document in our state to be changed.
Yes.
That means, number one, all you're getting is the populated areas that get to weigh in on stuff and tell all of the real people who have a completely different set of values sometimes, like on this abortion thing, that we're going to change the Constitution and there's nothing you can do about it. You don't get a say. Well, folks, we are a a constitutional republic.
Yes.
And we have a representative form of government.
Yes.
And so we need to kind of reflect that in whenever we're changing our Constitution. And the rural areas need to get a say as well.
Sure.
So we're wanting to go, and in 2024 they had a bill that made it through, almost got it across the finish line, and at the last second the bill handler herself pulled her own bill, and that would have changed the way we can amend our Constitution and through this IP process. But it didn't happen. So here we are. You know, we've, like you said, we've had the abortion thing go through since then, and put into our Constitution, which is not where it belongs.
No.
But there's two ways that, well, actually, I think there's three, but two main ways that something can get to the ballot. One is through a legislative process, and that's where almost all of these have come from, if not all of these, for the August ballot. The legislature has come up with these ballot initiatives to put on the ballot for the voters. The other way is the citizen-led kind. So
which has been abused.
It has been abused.
Badly
and we
abused.
have a lot of outside special interests
Yes.
that are controlling that. And so whenever they get a certain number of signatures, and I believe, don't quote me, but I believe it is 8% of the number of people who voted for the governor in the last gubernatorial election. That's how many signatures they have to have, and then those get verified, and the citizens can put something on the ballot. So there's these two ways that we're going to be talking about. So what we are proposing to the voters to ask them, can we change this, is to keep the legislative process the same. So if the legislature vets some legislation that we want to put before the voters, it would still be a 50% plus one statewide. I don't necessarily agree with that.
Because it doesn't hold them to the same standard.
Exactly.
Yes,
I do have a little bit of heartburn about that part. I do. But for any of the citizen-led initiative petitions, those would have to pass 50% plus one in each of our 8 congressional districts.
A republic.
A republic.
Yes.
Well,
So,
And what this means
Go
is
ahead.
all of us little counties who have been silenced for years now with these initiative petitions, we will all have a voice.
yep.
Yeah.
yes, and there's good and bad to this.
Yes.
Number one, it will shut off some of these crazy far left
Yes.
things that are happening
The
and being
outside
put
money
in
and
our
outside
Constitution.
influence.
By out of state.
And we
Yes.
need to get that shut down. It's getting completely out of hand.
Yep.
Got to stop the bleeding.
And we do need to stop the bleeding. But on the other hand, if we get to a point where we needed to put something conservative on the ballot, it would be much harder for us to get that through, because we've got, a couple of districts, congressional districts, that would be in those city parts. So it would be difficult. But what we're asking is to change it from that 50% plus one on a citizen-led
Yes.
petition
Yes.
to 50% plus one in each of the 8 congressional districts. I hope
Yes.
I broke that down.
Yeah, I think
Simplified
so.
it enough. To me, we have to vote yes on this.
Yes.
I can't tell you how badly it's needed to stop the bleeding on this far
Yes.
left stuff. And the argument, like I said, for the legislature to be able to put something on and not have to meet that threshold,
Yes.
at least that stuff has been vetted somewhat, and
Well,
we do
and these-
have some
And it is
public opinion
representatives,
in
yeah.
it. It's just
Yes.
that if it's bad, we can't stop it either. So it may not always be a Republican supermajority, right? It could be
Oh, I
flipped
know.
sometimes. So then what are we going to do?
Yes.
So
Vote them out.
we do have to, we have to think
yes.
about those scenarios as well.
Yeah.
But I do think that we really need to stop the bleeding now. So I would be a yes on this
Yeah.
one.
Well, and I think I am too. And I understand what you said about them having, but like Kevin said, the power we have there is we can kick them out and get some people in who
Yes.
are going to vote.
We have
our way.
elections every 2 years
Yes.
on reps.
Tell me. I know. I get to campaign every 2 years.
Oh, I know. I know.
It seems like I'm campaigning all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Amendment 5. This one says, if approved by voters, it requires the phase out and elimination of the individual income tax based on revenue growth, requires the reduction of property taxes and other local taxes to offset any local sales tax revenue increases while preserving local funding for public schools. This is the income tax elimination.
And we have gotten so many questions on this. I'm so happy that you're here to help us discuss it and break it down just a little.
Okay. I'm going to just take you back to the very beginning.
Okay.
HJR 165 was the initial legislation that came forth. That was carried by John Patterson, and that bill stunk. It was basically could I be more blunt about that? It said
all I had to hear was
basically,
JP.
we are going to,
yeah.
we will try to eliminate the income tax, but we're going to broaden the tax base for sales tax. And there was no plan. There was really nothing to this bill.
Right.
And it was a hard no. But then they replaced it with this HJR 173.
Yes.
And it was a much improved bill because at least there was a plan.
Yes.
That it showed, there were triggers in it. So we knew with the growth of the general revenue, how much, we could expect the income tax to be reduced. It also had protection for schools. It had provision there where the department like MDC couldn't get a big windfall. They've already got that 3/8 cent sales tax and they've already got plenty of money. We weren't wanting to broaden the tax base for them and let them get even more. So there was a protection in there for that. But the part that was worrisome was that they were going to open it up where for 3 years, the legislature could circumvent it's actually the Farmahan Amendment, but the protection in our Constitution that is there where the legislature can't raise your taxes without a vote of the people.
Yes.
And they were saying, well, will you give us permission for 3 years to lift that and let the legislature work to put in place these sales taxes, expand the tax base, so on and so forth. Another thing that was not in there was a carve-out for anything except marijuana. There was not a carve-out for agriculture. There wasn't a carve-out for medical. There was not a carve-out for real estate. Mm-hmm. Those were 3 things that the governor had specifically stated in his State of the State address, saying that when we did this income tax elimination, there would be carve-outs for those. None of them were in there. I wanted to see caps on how much we could increase the sales tax. That was not in there either. So I had talked with the bill handler, and while it was much improved on some levels, he said that part of this was going to be worked on in the Senate. So I gave him a really, really, really skinny yes on that in that form, knowing that they're going to work on that in the Senate and they're going to send it back. And so we got it back, and it was worse. They had stripped out all of the plan, all of the triggers. They said that doesn't need to be in the Constitution. That needs to be in statute. So, which I don't necessarily disagree with that, but we need to know a plan.
There's got to be something solid.
And then they wanted to lift that 3 years and make it 5 years that the legislature has to expand that sales tax base and figure out how this is all. It's just basically a trust us and let us figure it out. Well, we don't even know who the legislature is going to be in 5 years.
Yes.
So I was a hard no when it came back from the Senate. I tried to be, work with them a little on it when it first came through the House, but when it came back, in my opinion, way worse, I was no, along with a handful of other Republicans that saw problems with it as well. Now, am I against eliminating the income tax? No, I'm not. I would love to see that happen. We don't need your permission to lower or eliminate the income tax. We can do that right now. Mm-hmm. What we need your permission for is to go around those constitutional protections and be able to expand that tax base and raise your sales tax. My people, it would hurt my people.
Yep.
You know, we're talking about seniors or low income people who aren't paying income tax right now, and they're going to be paying more every time they go to Walmart or every time they get their, you know, nails done or hair done, whatever, yard mowed. So that's where we are on that one. You guys make up your own mind. I know I'm going to be a no on that at the ballot box, but everybody has to,
just the statement is going to eliminate income tax. But there's no elimination. It's just transferring it.
Yes.
Would that be a better way of saying it?
I think it would be.
Transferring it
Personally,
to those people that, like you said, seniors, and how in the world is that representative or fair? You know, that's just not. That is. Well, that's absurd.
And it worries me what it's going to do to the tourist industry, which is all service.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And we're already, because of the stupid minimum wage increase, which is a tax. It's a tax. We feel it. Kevin and I feel it. You know, we're a very small business, and even though technically we don't make enough money to even have to pay, yes, you do. You do. You have to. Even though you don't make enough to pay, you have to, or you won't have employees. And we love our employees. Yep. It's not that we want to be mean to them at all. But what ends up happening is whenever you raise that rate, it raises everything goes up. Groceries goes up. Everything. Staying in motels goes up. It worries me a lot that it's going to damage the tourist industry. It really does, because why would people come here and have to pay so much? We'll get a bad reputation for being so expensive.
Right. Well, and it's happened. It's happened in Missouri with our industry. When we talk to people in other states where the minimum wage, our federal minimum wage is $7.25. We're now right at 15.
And I love my employees, and I have no problem with being good to them.
No, but when you
we don't make that much.
When you have to compete with another state, Missouri, tourism's been a big part of who we are. People love to come to the Ozarks. And now when they come here, you can hear them saying, I'd never heard this in the past. For years we'd hear, it's so affordable to come on vacation here. It's so pleasant, and the people are so friendly. Yeah. And, I don't think the friendliness is left. It might be a little, it might be scarcer, but I've not heard anybody say lately how affordable our attractions are. How, it's just too much. Our restaurants and our pricing.
And we're hearing people say it.
Yeah,
they're
and
coming
they're
through and
thinking
talking about how high tickets are for everything now.
They're looking at going to other states for their tourism.
I don't think people understand how much money tourism brings in to Missouri.
Tourism is a big deal.
Yep.
Yes, it is.
And that's money coming from another state into that actually produces income for.
Yeah.
It's not a service. It is a service, yes, but it is a service that brings money in from other places into Missouri.
It's basic economy, and I hate it because people and I understand. The economy's been rough. Inflation for the last few years has been bad. I understand why people feel like, man, I need some more money. But basic economy, it doesn't work because, they always say, a rising tide makes all boats float. All that does is just raise all the prices.
Yep.
It's not a natural economy. Economy needs to increase. The money needs to increase naturally and grassroots, and that's not what this is.
Yes, and on that final version, I think I said that they stripped out the triggers and they moved it from 3 years to 5 years, but I don't think I actually said they also did not have the carve-outs in there or the caps. So to me, it was just no. It came back in a worse form, I felt, than it went over there, and it was just no longer supportable for me. And I had people in my district contact me, and both Republican and Democrat, and say, no, I think we need to be a no on this. So I took all of that into consideration, and believe me when I say I spent hours going over that bill with a few other legislators, the bill handler, other people outside that knew how to read the legal language part of it. And so I feel like I did a really thorough job in trying to figure out what it all meant and how it would affect people. And ultimately, I think that my no vote was absolutely the right one for my district and my people. So now it's your turn.
Well,
everyone
it's
gets to
everybody
weigh in
out
on
there.
it.
It's their turn, and it concerns me because I know, again, if you don't have an understanding of how natural economy works, of course it sounds good to have your taxes taken away. But
Well, to kind of
it's
simplify.
not taken away, and you have to trust that they're actually going to take it away.
But to kind of clarify, am I correct in saying that it's something that we don't really have an understanding of what it's going to be? And even if there is an understanding, we're not sure who's going to implement it, because 5 years from now, like you said, who is going to be
the
making those
representative?
decisions?
There are some things in there that give the guidance for what they're supposed to look at, what they're supposed to do, like the net revenue neutral language.
Yes.
There are some guardrails, but it wasn't enough to make me feel comfortable with it. Let me just put it that way.
Clarity would be something like this. Definitely needs a lot of clarity. A change to the Constitution. That's a big step.
It is.
Yes.
We can't forget that should be all but impossible to do.
I have a lot of trust issues
Yes.
And
with our legislature.
And so for everything that I just read, all of those amendments that we're going to be voting on in August, we need to understand that's all still 50% plus one.
Yep.
Yes.
So it's just a simple majority. Just so,
And there's
until we get that IP thing done. So,
And hopefully we do get that IP thing done.
Yep.
Hopefully we do.
Yes.
Because I agree with you. We got to stop the bleeding on that one for sure. Well, Miss Lisa, this is good. Did you have anything else you wanted to leave us with?
I don't think so. I've
think we
enjoyed
covered-
visiting with you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Very welcome. And like I said, if we can do this again later on in the season. You guys need to go have fun.
Right, our cows
get
are
away.
calling, right? And our chickens. We're gonna have to get home and feed cows. So.
Well, you're going to go on vacation too. So
Oh yes, we're gonna take off for a couple days.
good for you.
Gonna go do a little fishing. So
You need to.
yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Well, catching, I'm hoping.
Yes,
for you.
yes, catching. We're gonna go
There
in
you
with
go.
an optimistic outlook.
Set your
There you
goal
go.
for what you're after.
Yes, I told our guide that. I said,
Okay,
look,
very good.
he's all about fishing.
Uh-huh.
I want to catch.
There you
so,
go. Clarity,
yes,
clarity,
Yes. And he said,
communicating.
okay, we'll make that happen. So
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
counting on it.
Yeah. Kevin, did you have anything to add?
No, I'm just, you know what? I've learned a lot. I've got a lot to think about. And you know what? Conversations. We're going to have a lot of conversations between now and August.
Yeah, for sure. Well, folks, thanks for joining us again today. Thank you guys for joining us too. It's been so much fun. It always is. Makes me homesick. Now, remember to like, share, and subscribe so that we can get this good information out to our neighbors. People need to know. There's so much more to it. It's not what it appears to be on the face of it, just on the surface. You have to think about long term. You have to think about what it really does, all of these amendments. And folks, we will be back again soon with more information, more conversation, hopefully more encouragement to keep you informed, inspired, and definitely independent. God bless.